This is a presentation of the chemical equilibrium, and we're going to look at the experiment where we are disturbing a chemical equilibrium. First, we want to define what is a chemical equilibrium. And a chemical equilibrium is a reaction where both the reactants can become products, but the reaction can also go the other way, so that the products can become reactants again. This is what we call a dynamic equilibrium, where these two reactions happens at all time. If you look at this left side over here, you can see a normal reaction where we have the small letters A and B representing coefficients and the big letters representing a reactant. So two reactants will become two products, and that we can write in a chemical equilibrium, we can write that as the equilibrium expression, which is the ratio between these two rate of reactions. And we can see that we will take the products and we will divide them by the reactants. And the reason why we have them raised to the power of C and D and A and B is because the coefficient number will be the order that they should be in. And that will give us the equilibrium constant, which is written as K, and the C is because this is a equilibrium constant in an aqueous solution. So this is a equilibrium constant for the concentration. So as I said, the rate of reactions are always equal in a chemical equilibrium. When we look at the reactions, there will be this reaction quotient called Q, which is the concentration at the very moment we change the reaction. So at the very moment there is a factor affecting the reaction. So at equilibrium, the Q will always be equal to K, but as you will see later, that can change, and that's when Q is not equal to K, that's the very moment that we are not at equilibrium anymore. We can also define chemical equilibrium by Le Chatelier's principle, which states that if one or more factors that affect the equilibrium is changed, the position of equilibrium shifts in the direction that reduces the change. Also meaning that, for example, if you increase the amount of reactants, if you look over here, you will also have to increase the amount of products to even out so that the ratio will always be equal to reach equilibrium. So we're going to look at the experiment where we are disturbing a chemical equilibrium today. And as you can see here, this is the reaction we're going to look at, which is iron 3 ions reacting with thiocyanate ions, and it becomes iron 3 thiocyanate. And that reaction can happen both ways again, so we can also write it as we do here as a equilibrium expression, where the product is divided by the reactants. So we started the experiment off by making this equilibrium solution, which is the same amount of both the iron nitrate and the potassium thiocyanate, which is 10 milliliters of 0.1 molar in 200 milliliters of water. And the reason why we have the same amount are because, as I said before, we need to have the same ratio for them to reach equilibrium from the start. And we're going to use this solution as a reference point. In test number 1, which is the one we see right here, we added more iron 3 ions to the solution. That is the stress that we added to the solution. And we saw that it became darker red than our reference point, which is number 7, which is at equilibrium. That would indicate that we now have more product, because we know from before that this iron thionate product is dark, it is red. So the more we have of that, the more dark it will become. This would indicate that we also know that the quotient value must have gone down. We can know that by saying that if the reaction, we added more iron 3 ions, so when the reactants are increased, at the very moment they are increased, we're dividing this product with a larger number than before, so the Q value is now larger. Oh, sorry, it's smaller, than the K value because we're dividing by a bigger number. And that would indicate that the reaction shifts to the right to form more products so that it can reach equilibrium again. The same principles count for this test, test 2, because it's still a reaction that we are adding, and they are both equal, have an equal amount. So yeah, the same principles happens here. Here's more of a more visual way to see it. That we can see that if you increase the reactants, you have to increase the reaction will form more products too. And and that's what we see here too. And the reason why it's more dark could just be because there's added more of the thiocyanate ions. In test A and 3, in test A we first wanted to check which effect it had if we added ascorbic acid to an iron 3 solution. And what happened was that it became transparent. And that's because that the iron 3 ions are reduced into iron 2 ions, and iron 2 ions doesn't have the red color as iron 3 ions have. Therefore it became transparent. So in test 3 we still added ascorbic acid into the equilibrium solution we had from before, and what we observed was that we had this white precipitate. It's hard to see in this picture, but there was this slight white precipitate, and it was slightly yellow. And that is due to the fact that when we add the ascorbic acid, it reacts with the ions, the iron 3 ions, and becomes slightly transparent. But what it doesn't react with is the thiocyanates, which are still in there, and they have a slight yellow color. And that's what we see in the experiment. And again, we can use the Le Chatelier's principle and see that when the reactants go down, the Q value becomes larger than the K value. And that's here, yeah. And the reaction shifts to the left. In test B and 4, we see in test B, we wanted to check what would happen if we added silver nitrate to a potassium thiocyanate reaction. And what happened is we had this silver thiocyanate precipitate, which is in a precipitate reaction, which is this white powder we see here. So in test 4, we added this silver nitrate to the equilibrium solution, and we saw that it went from red to orange. And that's due to the fact that when the amount of thiocyanate decreases, the K value becomes larger than the Q value, and the reaction shifts to the left to form more reactants again, so that it can again reach equilibrium. In test 5 and 6, we wanted to check whether or not the temperature has an effect on the value of K. So in test tube 5, which is this one, we increased the temperature and we observed that it became less red than the equilibrium solution. And that would indicate that when it's less red, then the K value must have gone down, because now we have less of the product than we had before. Now the explanation for that is that the reaction must be exothermic to the right. And that we know that because when we add temperature and the K value decreases, that must mean that the reaction is exothermic to the right, because when it's exothermic, it wants to release energy, and when we add energy, it's gonna it's gonna change the whole system around. So in test tube 6, we decreased the temperature and it became darker red. And that would indicate that the K value must have gone up, which would indicate that the reaction must be endothermic to the left. Because, as we know from the Chatelier's principle, the reaction will always kind of do the opposite action of what has been done, meaning that when we decrease the temperature, it will try to increase the temperature again, so it will react, it will create more products again. Yeah. In test tube 7 and 8, I didn't have a picture, but what we did was that we made two mixtures containing water and potassium manganese. What we wanted to check was whether or not the what's it called? The volume. A change in volume can change the value of K. So what we saw after having after having diluted the mixture, which means that we added a higher an amount of water, doubled the amount of water, which doubled the volume of the solution. The intensity of the purple was smaller from the side than when we viewed it from the top. Now that can be explained by looking at the equilibrium expression. So we know that when we added double the volume, we must have half the concentration. So the problem so what happens is that when you have half the concentration of two reactants, it becomes 1/4 of the concentration of the reactants that are back, and 1/2 of the concentration of the products that's back. And that indicates that the K value has gone down. I don't know why the arrow is up there. The reason why we see it lighter from the side than from the top is due to the fact that it's on a larger surface area from the side. So we can't, from the top, we can't really see the concentration change, or the color changing, because it's on such a small surface area, and then we can't see it. Where from the side we have much more space to see it. So we can conclude that the temperature and a change in volume during the experiment can change the value of K, and a change in a reactant or product can change the value of Q.